Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by, they've set in stone.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is 5 o'clock and it is Friday, August 28th. And I'm just going to do a quick live today because there's really not too much to update you guys on. There is no news this week. We've been rolling out emails to those of you that live in specific council districts to encourage your council member to sign on to our legislation. Many of you have said that you've been met with some frustration as there's a handful of council members that are telling you that they don't want to talk to you because you don't live in their district. Even though our legislation is a citywide bill and it affects all municipal retirees. Do not worry, we are addressing that, and we are making sure that your voice gets heard in your district as well. So in addition to us posting what we're posting on our social page, we are reaching out to individual districts who are giving you a hard time. So continue to let us know who those districts are. And then we will make sure that you have a path to your council person and that you can call and email that office and tell them, sign on to our legislation. So we know that we're moving into September next week. There is no update on the copay class action yet. They're still tweaking the website and making some changes to help make things a little bit easier for all of you. And so once that's done, we will roll that out. So please try to bear with us and give us, I think, another week. 1 to 2 weeks. Let's talk about that. So about 1 to 2 weeks. Give us a little bit more time. Do not worry. There'll be plenty of time for you to do what you need to do. So that's what we're rolling out. And you will see that, like when I spoke to you a week ago, I said that their website would be live today. It's not live today. So they're having some little issues of things that they have to fix. So we will get back to you when that happens. And then of course, they're going to mail each of you an individual packet that's customized to you. That'll say what medical visits you had in 2022 that are eligible for copay reimbursement. And so each of you will get that packet. But again, that was supposed to happen the 31st. Given that the website isn't ready to go up yet, I'm sure that will be kicked down a couple more days. So just give us time. Keep checking our website because we will not just put it on our socials. You know us. We don't hesitate. We let you know everything as it's happening. So it would be on our website. It'll be on our socials, and you will get an email when it's time. Right now, Richard, there is nothing to tell you about the copays for the program for reimbursement. So when that happens, we will tell you. Just keep following our website and keep looking for our emails because that's how we will update you, as well as our social. That last testimonial from Harriet about eating cereal so she could afford her rent on a $14,000 pension was heartbreaking. And Ellen, and this is why we get frustrated when people ask, like, why did Henry Garrido do this? Why did the MLC do this? Why did Bill de Blasio do this? Why did Eric Adams do this? Why did Michael Mulgrew do this? It's because they don't know who the hell the retirees are. You have a woman who has a master's degree, who's fluent in 3 languages, who worked for the New York City Public Library for decades, and then you go to take away her health care and charge her more for health care on a pension that she can't keep up with inflation, and that doesn't keep up even with their cost of living adjustments, right? I think this year's cost of living adjustment is going to go up, 1.7%, I think they said. So pull out my trusty calculator, 1.7%, if that number is accurate, you're looking at $306 a year. Your pension will go up $306 after the September check. So you divide that by 12 months, you're getting $25.50 in your pension check, a little bit more than last. Now you tell me, what is $25 going to get you? Not a lot. And because of what the union leadership of the MLC, of UFT DC 37 did to all of us, that $25 is right out the window. That doesn't leave you any more room to cover an increase in rent or extra groceries or anything. So this is why we keep telling them. And it's frustrating that you have to keep saying this to the council members. You have to keep repeating to them who you are, what you make, the problems that you have, is they just don't get it. So I want all of you to send that video, that Harriet video, send that video on every single one of the council members' socials. Anytime they make a post, you post that Harriet video. Anytime they make a comment, you post that Harriet video. Post it on any site you want to post it. That needs exposure, because that is a majority of DC 37 retirees. That is 2/3 of our retirees as income level is under $25,000. That is how criminal that is. And a survivor's spouse pension only goes up half of that. Yeah, not nice. Nope, it's not. They're just plain stupid, Gerald. So if you guys have questions for me, let me know what you have. But right now, we do not have any updates. There's not any updates. This is all Mulgrew. It started with Mulgrew. It absolutely did in 2014. You're absolutely correct. There was a Politico article that came out, I think, yesterday by Nick Reisman, and saying that the AFL-CIO, New York State, declined to endorse 3 candidates, Daria Lisa, Brad Lander, and Liz Gillen. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Let me see if do I have that up? I do. I think I have that up. Hold on. Let me see if I could show you that. So I was getting calls today about, hey, why do you think that's happening? Why do I think that's happening? I'll tell you why that's happening. Because someone wanted to make it a big deal that they were not endorsing Brad as like a smack in the head. And what did it come down to? Because Henry was pissed off that Brad disagreed with forcing people into Medicare Advantage. Listen to this part of the article. Let me see if I can. Let me show you my screen so you can see what I'm seeing. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Whoops. Can I make this bigger? How's that look? Yeah. Okay. So the union's president, Henry Garrido, said in an interview Thursday that Lander's audit of the New York City Health Insurance Stabilization Fund as city controller was a factor in the opposition to his endorsement. The report, which recommended the fund's dissolution, angered the union. Our members were really upset about that, Garrido said. Lander has also been at odds with the union after the group backed moving retirees into a Medicare Advantage plan, which the then controller, opposed. Now I'm looking at this going, are you out of your mind? Here is a union executive director of a union, of one of the largest unions in the city, saying, I'm not going to support Brad Lander for Congress because he disagreed with me forcing retirees into Medicare Advantage. And he found, oh, by the way, that we misused billions of dollars in a fund that caused its dissolution. That to me is absolutely shocking that he would admit that, and publicly. And it was so crazy that when Nick posted his comments, that other people started retweeting that and saying labor has a problem. Labor has a problem. So it's not just us that's recognizing that labor has a problem, that they're okay with forcing retirees into a Medicare Advantage plan and are going to not support a politician for congressional office when they're trying to increase the ranks of the Democrats in Congress to take back Congress, because you wanted to force retirees into a inferior predatory Medicare Advantage plan, and he caught you with your hands in the till, and so you're pissed off at the guy. Like, that is absolutely crazy. I'm shocked that AG Letitia James is not investigating this debacle. Well, you know what, Long Beach, maybe you guys need to start emailing the AG's office like, hey, what are you going to do about this? Because I'll tell you, we made inquiries of the city and we were told that they have no enforcement power to correct the billions of dollars that were misappropriated in that fund, whether that's the city line. You remember that report? Brad Lander found that the city lied to him, misrepresented the facts, and that the money was misused and used for off purposes, meaning that fund was created for something specific. So, yeah. Ellen says, agreed, the New York State AG should investigate the misuse of the trust fund. Well, you know, Ellen, I guess all we could do is try to get her to pay attention to it, but who knows, you know, who knows? No, there is no word from Bruce Blakeman's office. We've reached out again, and we were trying to get them on for today, but that didn't obviously pan out. So let's just give some time and see what happens. He should be thanking Lander for sitting on that till the day before Lander was out of controller. You know, it's just insane. It's just insane. The potential endorsement of another Democrat, Socialist Daria-Liza Avila-Chevalier, is considered to be on hold. Garrido says he expects to meet with her, whose insurgent left-wing candidacy toppled influential Democratic Representative Adriano Espaillat. DC 37 endorsed Espaillat's re-election earlier this year, as well as that of Representative Dan Goldman, who Lander defeated in the June primary. I don't know the young lady, Garrido said. I hear good things. I want to meet her and I want to talk with her. It's interesting that he hasn't met her and endorsed Espaillat over her, even though I know why he endorsed Espaillat, but to have not even given her an opportunity to speak with her is insane. We take the position we should speak with everyone, and you should know their positions. We want a New York delegation elected in November that will fight and do things for worker pay and embody the fighting spirit we need across the nation, said PSC CUNY Vice President Jen Gabori, whose union represents public higher education workers. Garrido, though, disputed that his union was solely responsible for sinking the endorsements, noting that Lander would have still struggled to win over the full New York State AFL-CIO, a federation of some 3,000 unions of varying political stripes. To win an endorsement, candidates need to get the backing from 2/3 of all unions that fall under the AFL-CIO umbrella. Now, remember something with that, too. There's plenty of unions, though, that will be supporting him. Don't worry about that, as well as Avila Chevalier and as well as Gillen. But it does go to show you that they're out of touch with reality, because this should never have happened. They shouldn't be playing politics like that. They want to make sure, like when DC 37 has their candidate screenings, they're giving them a questionnaire. And we know for a fact that some of those questions were, do you support retiree legislation? And if they said yes, because who wouldn't? You know, you're saying that you're going to support them when they're active unionists, but once they retired, you're going to abandon them and kick them to the curb. That is insane. So who's on the wrong side of history of this? Of course, Henry Garrido, DC 37. It's not the elected officials in this case. Henry doesn't want to admit that he screwed up and he sold out retirees and he tried to force them into privatized Medicare Advantage plans and sold them off for a deal that he made. Remember what Henry said to me. We had asked Henry, why did you go along with that deal with Michael Mulgrew? And he said in 2014, he said, well, Mulgrew promised that if I supported his deal, that he would support mine when it was our turn. And I said, what was your deal? And Garrido said that he would support tiering hospitals. And I'm scratching my head going, what the hell kind of union leader are you that you want tiering hospitals? That means that, well, it's kind of like what you have in the NYC EPPO today. You have HHC hospitals that have a $0 copay. You have other hospitals that have a higher copay, other hospitals that have a higher copay. So what are you doing? You're literally passing costs on to your own people. Tiering hospitals is cost transfer. That is insane. And so that's what you want? You want to implement that? And I said, okay. I said, so you agreed to that. I said, but now remember, this was like 2023. I said, but by the way, active workers aren't in tiered hospitals. So what the hell? And he goes, well, Mulgrew reneged on his promise to me. I said, say it isn't so. You got screwed over by Mulgrew? And he goes, well, I said, why did he do that? And he goes, where does Mulgrew live? And I said, Staten Island. Well, tiering hospitals had $0 copays at HHC hospitals. There is no HHC in Staten Island. And so he knew that teachers would probably go apeshit if the only free hospital that they had that had no copays was HHC. So that was interesting. I remember that meeting like it was yesterday. There was a group of us on that call and we were blown away by what we were told. So yeah, it's, in a den of thieves, you're going to get screwed over by one of your own, especially after he got his deal first. So pretty insane. Shame on Brendan Griffith for allowing Henry to speak for AFL-CIO. Well, and Mario Salento as well, my friends, because Mario is also lobbying against our city and state legislation in their filings. We've been trying to, if you've seen my post, we've been tagging Liz Shuler on this. And when I asked Mario, when he was talking to me, why is it that you are literally lobbying against retiree legislation? And Mario said, well, Marianne, when you have the two largest unions in the city that are AFL unions telling you what to do, we only exist because of the unions. So if DC 37 and the UFT tell me I have to lobby against that bill, well, then I'm lobbying against that bill. And I says, well, you just sold your soul to the devil. That is anti-union. It's anti-union, it's anti-worker, it's anti-labor, it's antithetical to the entire unionism movement that you want to protect active workers, but the minute that they're retired, you're going to rob them blind. That is not labor. So, yeah, I'm looking younger. Gee, thank you. It might be the bags under my eyes, my dear. But it's absolutely insane that this is what they're doing. That is not the way unions are supposed to behave. Unions are supposed to protect their workers and their retirees. They're not supposed to pit them against each other and use their health care as like a garage sale to sell off a benefit that you earned so that they can give it to someone else in another form. That is not union. It's not. So there you go, my friends. That's my speech for the day. You now have the update that was in the Politico article. Similar story appeared in the New York Post yesterday. And I'm sure there'll be more coming out about that. Brad is running in District 10, Congressional District 10. I think there's a Republican and a conservative, or a Republican and independent running against him. I don't see him losing that district. So it's not like he needs an endorsement. And we've also seen that endorsements from unions don't always pan out. There's this running joke, right? Where's Dan? There's this running joke of the UFT will always pick a loser. So they don't need to have that. Famously, DC 37 unendorsed Alexa Velez for supporting retiree legislation, right? She still won her district without having the UFT, without having DC 37 support. They don't need the union. You know, too many people are hung up around the badges that they have to have that little circle, like I was endorsed by, blah, blah, blah. They don't need that. If they stand on their own merits, if they do right by the constituents, if they do right by the people, then they will get elected. They don't need to have a union badge to say, I'm endorsed by DC 37. That has been shown to mean bupkis. Otherwise, the other people would not have won their offices without their election. So, yeah, I hear you. OSA always picks losers. They have a real knack. So did UFT. Thank you for beautifully countering the lies posted on Substack by active teacher Nick Bacon. Well, my dear, all bacon should be fried. That's my opinion. I think he was amply fried today. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What other questions do you have? Because I really don't have anything for you guys today. It's Friday, and I'm sure you guys want to go have a beer or a cup of coffee or grab dinner or go to bed early. I don't know. I do. Anything else you guys got for me? While you're typing, I'm going to go check over on Instagram and see if there's anyone on Instagram with a question. I do not see any questions on Instagram. Okay, I'm coming back over. One day they'll merge these two, but they haven't done it. New York City is probably anti-union now. Oh, and that's the next thing. So you all saw that OLR, Mayor's Office of Labor Relations Commissioner Renee Campion is retiring. We knew that was going to happen. We had inkling that with this new mayor that she was not going to stick around. And we had also heard at the time that she had negotiated to stay for 1 year. It'll be 1 year and a couple of months. So we also know that DC 37's contract expires in November. And the rumor has it is that the mayor wants the contract resolved before the end of the year. There's also rumors flying around that Bob Lynn might come back as commissioner. And I'm like, say it isn't so, because First Deputy Mayor Dean Foulahan is Bob's hook. So we know this forever, and it's not unexpected if it happens. It would be a sad state of affairs if it does, because that means, you hear me joke, and I say this all the time. The mayor says this is a new era because he's the mayor. And I said, no, it's not a new era. It's just a new mayor because it's the same old politics. And I believe that's exactly what's happened. And we will see if that does. Bob Lynn needs to go. He needs to go. He should not be an advisor. He should not be commissioner. He should not be touching anything having to do with labor. He's made enough of a mess. You have all of these titles citywide that have wages suppressed, that there isn't parity, not even in the city, not even in the private sector, that their wages are suppressed. They can't attract or retain people in these jobs. Paraprofessionals, EMTs and paramedics, probation officers. You have all of these titles, crossing guards, same issues. Why? Because Bob Lynn decided to make up his own rules. And as Joshua Freeman, labor historian, said recently in another article, that pattern bargaining isn't the law. It is something that Bob wanted to do. Why? Because it makes Bob's job easier. How does it make Bob's job easier? I'll tell you. So there's 160 something unions in the city. If Bob then had to negotiate with each individual union on the merits of each of their union, he would have a lot of work to do. Bob chooses to settle a deal with one union and say, that's the pattern. You're going to get whatever, 3, 3, 3, and 3. And that's your pattern over the course of how many years? 4 years. And you will then have that money applied to your union. How that union uses that money is up to that specific union. But he sets that goal is that this is how much. And he knows, because the city puts out a book every couple of years. That it's called the 1% book, that every union that you can look in this book and see what 1% value is for each one of those locals. So when you look at those numbers, you know what the rate is for all of them. And it gives him an easy idea for math of just how to blanket apply that across the board. But what he should be doing is like in a negotiation where over the decades, right? Because Bob Lynn has been here since like 1978 or something. And so over time, Bob has had control over wages and parity, and he could have increased people's wages a little bit higher. He didn't. And he did it on purpose to suppress those positions. Those positions that I'm talking about are typically filled by women and women of color. The EMS unions have a federal lawsuit of discrimination against the city of New York for exactly this. And I'm waiting to see how that case is solved, because it shows a pattern over time that we can show specifically over this. And so when you have a man who's in charge of labor over, 40 decades, or at least influence, and suppresses workers, suppresses wages, this becomes an issue, especially 30, 40 years later, when those specific titles, I've shown you memos over the last week of EMS workers since the 70s and 80s saying, we wanted parity with police and fire. We can't attract and retain people. And this is going back over the years. You have call volume increasing, response times high. Response times today are 11 and a half minutes. Brain death starts at 4 to 6. About 6, you're basically brain dead. So at this point, what are you looking at? What's the excuse? Why are you not hiring more people? Because they don't want this crappy ass job with a crappy wage that doesn't have a future. EMS used to have a career path. You could work for the city of New York would actually pay for your medical education for a career track to nurse, nurse practitioner, PA, MD. Today, you don't have a track. They say a promotion is a promotion to firefighter. Medical jobs don't want to go to fire. Medical jobs prefer to stay within the medical world. So what they did was they created EMS as a back door into fire. So the joke was, which really isn't a joke, it's totally true, that you would have your nepotism where your chief's sons or commissioner's sons aren't scoring high enough on the fire test. They'll go in, do their time as EMS and take the back door and go into fire. It's literally a pass-through. If you respect the job and you respect the title and you respect the people and you pay them a livable wage and you respect them, educate them, give them a career path that they have somewhere to go to, that they'll do their time on the street and then they'll advance into nurse, PA, MD, and still serve the city, because that was the deal then. Then they would say, if the city paid for you to go to medical school, you owed the city 3 years or 5 years in a capacity working at an HHC facility or in an agency. That was fantastic. You don't have that anymore. Now you're seeing shortages in those very titles. Many light years ago, I was in a typesetters union which claimed it couldn't negotiate for more than minimum wage for low-tier job titles filled exclusively by women. The shop steward used to defend this practice by saying for that job, the minimum is a maximum. And it sounds like pattern bargaining. Why should these low-paid workers pay union dues? Now, I'm going to tell you, during COVID, we were asked to listen to a meeting of Local 372 DC 37. This was Sean Francois' union. And I was disgusted what I heard. You may remember this. There's one of the DC 37 I forget what her title is. Her name was Myrna, I think. And she was shaming these low-paid cafeteria ladies, lunch ladies, and crossing guards for not paying union dues. And she called them freeloaders. Meanwhile, on the call, one woman who was a supervisor who was only making like 32 cents more than the people she supervised, and it was still under $18 an hour, was saying that she couldn't afford to feed her family because like a dozen eggs was like $5. And by the time she got her money, like it was like half an hour. She had to work a half an hour to buy a dozen eggs. I mean, it was something ridiculous like that. And he was like, when did you start? And so she told him when she started. And he goes, what were you making then? And so she said $8 an hour. And so what are you making today? $18 an hour? So see, that's what the union did. But okay, so you're making $10 or more over the course of 20 years. And I'm supposed to kiss your pinky ring for that. That's not livable. And yet he has a 6-figure salary and his welfare fund is always in the red. And no one looks at that. So I remember when, Marcia, you triggered a memory from that because she shamed those people that they should be paying her union dues to the union, to 372, to pay her salary, and called them freeloaders. And she couldn't even feed her family on what she was making, never mind to pay the dues. And she was a supervisor in that same local. That's how egregious that was. That's what Michael Bloomberg did with this New York City teaching fellows. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to wait to see that commissioner job, if they're going to post that commissioner job or they're just going to appoint Bob Lynn or somebody to it. I mean, even Dan Pollock. But it shows you that the Mayor's Office of Labor Relations doesn't give a shit about you if you are a retiree. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to schedule meetings with us. We've been trying to get a meeting through the mayor's office with Labor Relations that they kept referring us to speak to them. And they kept telling, today we get a message that says, no, we don't want to talk to you. So now we're just going to keep on exposing them, So Long Beach, let me tell you, the controllers are also supposed to audit the welfare funds. Many of the unions do not hand in their data, and so the audits are not complete. And then the frequency in which they're done isn't often either. They should be done on an annual basis. They're not. So I haven't gone up to look in a while, but the last time I did, that there were several unions that didn't hand in their documents, and there were several unions that the benefit to administrative ratio was extremely crazy, meaning that they're paying people to administer the program more than the benefits that they are giving you. And that's a problem. So it shows you those are the patronage positions that there are people who are benefiting from that rather than you benefiting from the funds. Because remember, your welfare fund doesn't come solely from the union. The union negotiates how much money per year that the city will give it to fund your welfare fund benefit. So unions get somewhere between like $1,500 and $2,500 a year per person, retired or active, for the welfare fund benefits. And then it's up to the union to take that money and try to negotiate welfare funds, vision, prescription, dental, whatever. Which is why we don't understand how the United Federation of Teachers gets away with not providing a drug plan for its retirees. You end up paying for the city drug rider, and that drug rider is exorbitantly expensive. There should be no reason why a Medicare Part D plan costs $180 through the city of New York. None. Especially when Medicare Part D plans on the marketplace typically cost between $0 and $45 a year. So the UFT is doing its retirees absolutely no favors. I mean, but of course we knew that. It's just more proof. Apparently they don't know what inflation is, or they have selective understanding of the. I agree, Edith. They need to post to make it look legitimate. Yes, but then after they post it, they don't do anything with it. It just gets posted as an audit. I mean, if you want, I can quickly Google up, let's see when the last time New York City comptroller, oops, would help if I spelled it right. Comptroller, Union Welfare Fund audit. And let's see when the last one was. I think it was 22 or 2020. Looks like, okay. Analysis of the financial and operating practices of union administered benefit funds fiscal year 2020. And this was published in 2022. So it tells you right there, they're not auditing these funds timely. So it takes 2 years to do that kind of an audit. So I would say if Mark Levine did an audit today, you won't see it for another 2 years. And by that point, the data is irrelevant. Sorry, guys. Hate to say that to you, and that's exactly part of the problem with the stabilization fund. That audit was done and we're being told there is no method, even though it was taxpayer dollars that was misused. There is no mechanism to fix it, to hold anyone accountable, not the city, not the unions, not the MLC, not anybody. Anybody. Yeah. So let's see. Is Kayla Santosuoso on baby leave? And yes. So yes, she is on maternity leave, and I do hope she's coming back soon. I think I may actually know that answer. I will see. Yes. So expect her to come back this coming month in September, and then hopefully she'll jump on by then. Okay. So just give her a little bit more time. She has a beautiful little baby Benedetta that I'm sure you guys will see as well. And then when she gets back, she's been a supporter of us, and I believe she will jump on this bill with no hesitation. But focus on the others. I'm posting to you on who you guys really should be focusing on every couple of days. And that's the rest of the Civil Service and Labor Committee. And you have enough of those calls to make. So you need to get Crystal Hudson on the bill. You need to, let me see if I can pull that up to show you what that looks like. Just so, let's see, Council Home. Oops, committees. And Civil Service and Labor. Okay, so you need to get Shirley Aldebal, Tiffany Caban, Ty Hankerson, and Crystal Hudson. Those are the 4 people you need to get on the bill. And that's the Civil Service and Labor Committee. And so our goal is to try to get at least 26 people on this bill and then push Shirley Aldebal to give us a hearing, because that's where you will have democracy. And hopefully she believes in democracy. Can you post or repost the video about how to find a Part D plan? Yes, I absolutely can. So you guys that are looking for a Medicare Part D plan, remember open enrollment comes in fall, and we know that there's going to be a bunch of changes with Medicare this year. So just keep your eyes on that. I will repost that video, Mary, and I will also put it in the next newsletter to get you guys ready to look. I thought it was still a little bit too early because open enrollment doesn't come back again, doesn't start for like another 2 months-ish or so. So, but I will, since you're asking for it, I will put it up there. You can always just go up to our YouTube channel, NYC Retirees on YouTube, and look for it there, and it'll help you. But I will put it in the next newsletter as well. District 28 is Ty Hankerson. So please call Ty. He needs to speak to all of you, which in the beginning of this, I did mention that we're starting to roll out district specific. You will get an email from us, like we rolled out 2 today, asking you, you identifying, hey, you are in this district. Would you please sign on, get your council member to sign on? Please call your council person, because they're saying they want to hear from their constituents. They don't want to hear from the rest of us. And they're telling people that are calling, well, we give priority to people who live in our district. Well, that's nice, but you should still be listening. And if they're not, we need to know. But in the meantime, we're asking all of you, if you're signing into your account, please make sure that you have your council district is in there. You should be able to see it in your about information, what district you're in. And yes, Mercedes Narcisse did sign up. If you go to our website under the homework page, you can see everyone who did sign up. And then we did post the thank you so that you can send the thank you to people as well with a 1 click, and send the email to everybody else with 1 click. But we're also targeting specific districts. So if you live in, Mercedes is on the bill, so that's so like Eric Dinowitz, right? Eric is one of those people that says he doesn't want to hear from anybody else. His office is saying they want to hear from constituents. Okay, fine, no problem. So we put out an email to people who lived in Eric's district, and hopefully those people click that email and send it to their friends. We're going to make sure that message gets out, because if he wants to hear from his constituents, then the constituents need to make sure they're calling. They need to call and email. Don't just send an email. And we're also seeing another pattern. Council members we're giving retirees legislative phone numbers as well as district. They're calling the legislative and there's never an answer. They're getting voicemail. Then you call the district and then you're told, well, this is a legislative issue. You have to call the legislative office. Well, if no one answers the damn phone at the legislative office, then this is just a round robin and it's a waste of people's time. The other problem we're seeing is that people are emailing the council and your council member, and you're getting another email like an auto responder saying, if you're calling about this, email here. If you're calling about this, email there. If you're calling about this, email there. No, that's an internal mechanism. That should not be on you to funnel that. That should be to the person who answers the emails in that district office to funnel it to the right person, not put more of a burden on you, the retiree or the constituent contacting their office. I cannot fathom that this is what this is degraded to in how they handle communications. So I'm extremely furious by watching some of this, and it's just disappointing that this is the business of the council, and that's how they're conducting themselves. We never would have done that. An explosive health insurance stabilization fund audit and no way to hold them accountable other than Joe Maniscalco. The way our HISF was egregiously handled and getting buried by most labor reporters, and Henry Garrido is getting ready to negotiate their next union contract. Yep. And the one office said the legislative phone cycles right back to the district phone. Yeah. And I can't understand that this is okay. To me, this is not okay. This is not okay. But I'll follow back up, with that as well. So guys, if there's nothing else, I'm going to say go enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys Monday. You can continue to do your emails all weekend long. Do what you need to do. And make sure if you live in the district that I sent an email to you today, one this morning, one this afternoon, in the two districts. If you live in Eric Dinowitz's district or Lynn Shulman's district, you got an email from us saying, email your council person. So if you didn't, please let us know that you live in that district. And if you don't live in that district anymore, let us know as well, because we'll update your file. But we're going to start to roll these out more and more, targeting each individual district, just so that your message does get heard, and it gets heard not just by everybody, but by constituents. So that's important to do as well. So that's all I got. You too, Dan. Have a great weekend. Gerald, no one wants to do their job. I know. They want us to do their job for them. You're welcome. All right, so it's 5:43. I'm going to call it a night. You guys have a great evening. You have your homework assigned for you. Hopefully you will hear from us next week regarding the copay class action. There should be an update. They are a little delayed because we're asking them to make some corrections and tweak things on the website portal to make it easier for you. So before we roll out, if we could nip some of those things in the butt, we will, and then roll it out as soon as we can. So I'm hoping the next week, maybe 2 weeks, within the next 1 to 2 weeks, you should have more information on the copay class action. Keep an eye on our Facebook, our email, and our website, because that's where you will see it. And of course, you'll hear from us. So have a great weekend, everyone. I love you. You take it easy, and I'll see you on Monday. Ciao.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are.